everyone to Let's Talk Real Life with Nada Manning. I'm your co-host Vernon Garrison, and welcome tonight. Looking forward to a great show. If you're joining us by audio, and of course, watching us on the rebroadcast. It's obviously you can see just me at the moment, and we are displayed on Roku TV. If you guys can find us up there, also GPAT 23 television and you can listen to us at 24/7 www.bis awesomeradio.org. This is 106. Uh, this is Awesome Radio, ladies and gentlemen, and we are live tonight. So we do appreciate you. Also 100.3 Rocky Mount as well. And tonight is a special night. So we may be having a special guest call in tonight, so you can stay tuned for that. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're talking about the nuclear family, the core. Where does that come from? You want to, if you thought about the core family, the Christian family, how would that look right now? What does the Bible say about family values? And what does it say about who's supposed to pass down the mantles of faith, prayer, repentance, forgiveness, respect, love, compassion, work? Who's passing that down? And I know Miss Nada, she is a baby boomer, which is pretty much a generational thing that we've been working on the last few weeks in regards to the moments that they lived in that particular generation. The baby boomers were born in the 1940s, between 1946 and 1964. So we've had sort of a series of questions in regards to what some people call the old days. What were they studying? What was their school of thought? How was the infrastructure of the family set up, the values, the core values that were followed in that particular time? What area were you born in? Are you a Generation X, or you a millennial, or you a Gen Z, or you a Gen Alpha? Hold on one moment. We have a caller. Caller, welcome. You are on the air.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? You are live
We're,
on the
we're trying to
air.
make it happen.
All
12
right.
14 BS 8. Uh-huh. Black capital B.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to continue to try to bring Ms. Nada in for the show tonight. And she
Uh-huh.
is on the line.
Yeah.
And we're working hard just trying to get some audio and video. So we definitely
So
want
for now,
to.
they'll just hear my voice.
Yes, you're on right now. How are you?
Yes.
Sound a
Hello.
little. Yes, indeed.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good morning. I hope everybody is doing well and ready to hear what's going to be talked about this evening. Uh, Mr. Garrison has great plans for us, great questions. He's a question man. He wants to know things. So we're going to see if we can't oblige him with some answers. He might like them and he might not. But it is what it is, folks, and we hope that you will chime in some kind of way and let us know what you think. So without all of that being said, I welcome you all to Let's Talk Real Life tonight as we venture on with the issues of communities and seniors and all kinds of stuff. I believe tonight is what? Family discussions for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for all. And so, Mr. Garrison, if you would move forward with that,
Sure
I
enough.
am ready to put my input in.
Okay.
Amen.
All right. Well, my first question is, as I've talked about preface the audience with, we're talking about generations and what happened, particularly in the baby boomers generation, because we're looking at how things translated from your age group down to now, or
Hmm.
did it transfer from your generation down to now? And so, why I'm speaking to you in this way is to check to see if you have a scope, a purview of things that did or didn't translate from your upbringing until now. If you, ladies and gentlemen, you want to go back and look at some of our previous shows, we can, see that the baby boomers had some great characteristics. Mama and grandmother, mama and them and big mama all had excellent characteristics that I'm just kind of seeing how they affected today. So I want Miss Nada to go ahead and just let me, share a little bit of the characteristics of being a senior. Um, how do you stay relevant with technology and activities and health and traveling and friend groups? How do you stay relevant? What's the key now?
Uh, how do you stay relevant? Now we still trying to work this technical issues on this end, so bear,
Mm-hmm.
bear with us
Yeah, you might
so
want
that
to
we can be
mute some
seen.
mics over there.
Well, you can hear me okay,
I can
but
hear
that's
you,
because
but I
I'm on
hear
a
you
phone and
double.
yeah.
So you might want to mute a mic, I suppose, on the computer. Yeah. Oh, it's probably the telephone. The fact that you're on the telephone with me at the same time.
I'm going to hang up.
The
Okay then.
phone and see what happens. How about that?
Okay. All right, ladies and
Uh,
gentlemen, we work hard. All righty. Did you hang up yet? Okay. We're trying a few things here, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate your patience so much as we carry on. How are you leading your family? How's your infrastructure set up? Where does your core values come from in your family? Um, just your basic needs assessment. Just your basic opportunities to affect society. I wholeheartedly believe that God has equipped all of us with a vision and ability to change and to touch the world. Either we have children or we don't. We want children. All right, WBIS Awesome Radio. This is Let's Talk Real Life with Native Manor. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling in again.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, now
Uh huh.
I'm going to stick with the phone because the computer is not working.
Okay.
You were inquiring about some investment, and your question was
Staying relevant.
some, huh?
How do you stay relevant as a senior today?
Relevant to technologies, and I would say some training. There are those of us in the senior world
Mm-hmm.
that have had some training that other seniors have not had. Uh, and we are in a position with our little bit of knowledge to perhaps address some of these concerns with the other seniors who have no knowledge at all. So I would say some training. I believe that uh, virtual training for those seniors who really are interested into it, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have some hard copy training, classroom settings. Uh, Hands on, talking to the seniors is not enough. They're mostly show me stage group. They want hands on. They want, okay, show me how I'm supposed to do this. Don't give me a bunch of papers and a book because that's too tedious. I just want you to
Mm-hmm.
show me firsthand. Take me to a computer and
All
show
right.
me what button I'm supposed to push. Uh, and of course, in order to do that, that's what we call getting engaged and stay engaged with what's available. And lastly, I want to say to share what we know amongst others. Word of mouth is a great tool for people who don't care very much for doing a lot of reading. And we're talking seniors here. And I've learned, I guess, past 10 years since I've been actively a senior myself and working with other seniors. I've learned some of their behaviors. And many of them have these concerns they want to know. But as we all know, that technology today, with the younger crowd trying to show grandmom or auntie or uncle or dad, granddad how to do it, even down to as simple as a remote control, they do it so fast until the senior miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they miss it, they get frustrated. And who else gets frustrated? The youngster that's trying to show them, zip, 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 that is done. Well, now, wait a minute. You have to slow down for grandma and granddaddy. You have to go real slow for us. And it comes a problem then when the younger crowd does not have the patience to show the seniors how to do things so that they can catch on. And you have to show us sometime more than one time. So I would say invest in resources such as that so that the seniors can gradually pick up on what's being taught to them. If you don't show any interest to them or for them, then they are left behind the curve. So they're left to be unknown. The same thing with the way things are today with virtual learning. Sunday school classes, some of them are online, some of them are still in the church in a classroom setting. So they're between a rock and a hard place because they don't know how to do it online. And if they go inside the building, then they're fearful of catching something. So what do? They stay home and learn nothing. That is not good.
Okay, I got a thought here.
A thought?
Yes, and this is how you say I ask questions to collect information for other reasons, and I ask questions like that for this particular reason, and hopefully the audience will pick up on it. How were you taught? How did you teach the prior generation technology, which would have been the silent generation born between 1925 and 1945? Did you have patience for introducing new things to your senior family members and community? How did technology come in? You had the television that showed up. It was black and white. I think it was just it became color right before your eyes. And then the channels, they had more channels. They had 8 tracks. They went from records to 8 tracks. How did you present technology to those before you?
Such as my mom or my dad or my grandparents or my aunties and uncles. How did I go about doing it?
Right.
I basically just talked them through it, those who were interested in learning. Now, not everybody is interested in knowing. They want to know, but they don't like the way that they have to know. And that's their mindset. They feel like they are not smart enough. They are not intelligent enough to grasp what's being said. But the patience, which is definitely needed in working with seniors in all areas. The one who's doing the training, the teacher, have to have a patient personality, meaning wait until that person can really get what you're talking about. Be patient with them. Break it down, simplify it, give them examples. For example,
so back to the question. Sorry for cutting you off. So you saying there was the same issues with people, let's say you just said a characteristic of you teaching those your parents. Did they want, you said they didn't want to learn, or did they want to learn? Is it any different than it is with anybody learning technology? They feel outdated, inadequate. Is there any difference between generations that you've seen in transferring knowledge and passing on, new things?
There's a difference because, as with anything in learning, A good case scenario would be the classroom setting. You have those students who really are eager to learn, and you have those students that just want to come in there and play, not trying to learn anything, interrupt those who are trying to learn something. However, I'm not saying that's what seniors do, but they
Mm-hmm.
get easily distracted by other things. And they will say, for example, they got a grandbaby coming over, and I'll say, okay, how about if I come by, Auntie, and show you how to work your phone? You got this brand new phone,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to learn how to work it. You want to learn how to make phone calls or get a text message or send one. How about let us get together, say around 2:30, 3 o'clock on a Saturday when school is closed?
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. Well, sometimes something comes up. Well, I can't make it on Saturday. They'll call me Friday night. I can't make it tomorrow, but how about Monday? Okay, we're compromising. So I'm saying this to say there are times when we who are teaching have to learn that things do come up, really. They do come up that we don't expect, and we can go along so that we can work with the senior. Other times, they just keep making excuses because they're fearful of not getting it the first time. It's my job to let them know to feel comfortable and knowing that you can do this. I will take you step by step. No rush. You can ask me as many times as you like, but that's what it requires when working with seniors because their patience is very, very short.
When you look down through the generations, so you've seen at least 5 generations alive at this moment. Do you
I'd
see?
like you to speak up a little bit.
All right, when you look through the generations, you see at least 4 or 5 generations that came after
Uh
you.
huh.
Do you see the knowledge that's being transferred diminishing because of fear or lack of interest, or is the knowledge get it coming down to where I am? Did it translate? Are we losing quality, skills and talents because people don't want to learn or they don't feel certain things are important?
Hmm. I think they want to learn. We're talking, say, my siblings. It's a generation between me and my siblings. We're talking 10 years between a couple of us.
Okay.
10 years is a generation. We're talking those of us born in the 50s and those born in the 60s. Uh, Many times, that particular age group in the 60s want to learn, but I'm talking my siblings now. But they say, Auntie, um, or sis, um, everybody is not into school and books like you. I said, okay, I understand that. But in order to learn something, you have to read sometime. You have to read the driver's manual to get your driver's license and go out there and drive to see if you can do it. But see, that's different. That's something that they want to do. They know they must do that. So they're more prone to do what they have to do to get them driver's license. Now, when it comes to learning something on a job, if they have an opportunity to learn it on hand, hands on, where somebody is showing them how to do it, I don't need to go to school for 2 years to know this. Can't somebody just give me 5 days of training or 10 days of training or 2 weeks of training and I got it? That's what they'd rather do rather than to go to school for 2 years or 4 years.
Well, let's look at information in general, though. The way that things are packaged nowadays, people can learn quick, and let's say knowledge doesn't necessarily need to be memorized. It might just need to be you might just need to have access to that knowledge and reference it in order to get a certain job done and in order to get a certain result or desired result that you want.
Hmm.
So I can see students saying, I don't need a 4-year education now. I just need to go to YouTube University and watch videos
Right.
all day, and then I got it. So with all
Right.
of that in mind, right, with the difference in information and the motivation to get it, let me ask you this question here. Do you think now, with the based on the information and the time, do you think we're smarter now as a group, all the generations mixed together? Are we smarter now than we were in, let's say, 1970?
I would say overall, with technology being the way it is, I would say yes, we are smarter because technology has been set up such that there's no reason not to know certain things. All you got to do is go look it up. For example, a dictionary. If you don't know how to spell a word or don't know what it means, then phones are so plentiful now. Just type it in, Google it, and there you go. You get the spelling and what it means. You don't have to go get a whole physical, thick dictionary to flip pages in anymore. So it's quicker. It gives you an opportunity to learn more in less time. So technology does work. We just have to learn how to work it.
So let me ask you this now. All of this is leading up to some, bigger perspective thoughts towards the end of the show. But right now, do you think that we need a college for seniors? You see, because if we lose information that one generation needs to get, to the next, because somebody doesn't want to learn. And right now, a lot of technology is a way of life. But do we need a senior college, or is there a suggestion that you have to make sure that seniors stay relevant and that you are available to pass down information to me if I need it? I don't want to miss quality information, but you just told us that we are smarter, and I'm about to ask you a question just after this. But do we need to do anything different to make sure or to help seniors stay relevant?
Do you need to do anything
Yeah, the
to stay
society needs to
relevant?
do anything more. I know you got senior centers, you got people that are engaged. Is there more that we need to do to keep you relevant while,
I would say that we need to be more consistent, not just do it one time or two times, offering assistance or resources to develop the intellect of a senior. I say it should be consistent, more of it, um, 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 advertised more often. Um, one time or two times is just not going to get it. I think it should be an ongoing availability known to the senior population. Different ones can come on and talk about it because everyone have a different perspective on how it should be taught. Maybe everybody might not like the way Miss Manning is telling the story. Maybe they might want somebody else to go in and tell that. Somebody else means the same thing, but they're just telling it different. What we want to do is capture their attention and keep it, not for them to just blow it off like, oh man, I don't want to do that. I am done with books and schooling, and I know because this is what I've heard over the years. So we have to have a different approach to get their interest and keep it because technology, it is what it is. And if you want to advance in this world, seniors, then, it would be in your best interest to learn a little something, something. Don't have to be a whole lot, but learn a little bit more and you find yourself getting into it, and most likely you're going to like it, especially taking pictures of them grandbabies,
so should
something
you?
that's a keepsake.
So let me ask you this: should you? And what does retirement mean? Is that is that a finish line? Is that a point that you're telling society, hey, we've done what we've invested our time, our lives. You take it from here. You don't need us, or what is retirement saying? Is it is throwing in the flag saying I surrender?
Mm, Me personally, um, I don't agree with that surrendering part. I say retirement means now you have an opportunity to really spread your wings without being pressured. And I believe that any person who does something they enjoy doing without being pressured does a much better job than those who are pressured. At that point, when you are pressured, retiree, then you have an opportunity to step away. And that's the privilege of being retired. You don't have to do it. There's plenty out there to do. So to say that there's nothing else to do, um, I think that a retiree should do some research and find out what he or she might be interested in doing with their own talents, because there's something out there for everybody. You just have to make up, and that's what will make a retirement season more enjoyable, because you're doing something you really enjoy doing on your time, and you're helping somebody. So no, it's not retirement. It's not where you just going to retire and sit down. You can do it for a little while, but after a while, you ask yourself, okay, I don't have to go to that job anymore, but I still have enough energy left to do something. And you have to sit down and rationalize and find out exactly what your interests are. What is it you would like to do? Where do you fall?
What about there's a couple of perspectives I want to get. So what about the retiree with financial issues that still has to work? Well, how I know it used to be a big thing, and I don't hear as much about that right now, about seniors that have to work and ones that choose to work. Is that a time period where people might be feeling depressed now because they didn't do enough work while they were at working age? I don't know. I have no concept of that right now. But describe that moment. Describe the thought right now concerning working after 63, especially after 65.
Describe the attitude or personality of a retiree once they have retired
And they didn't have enough money, or
and they
what?
didn't have enough money. Well, again, sometimes some of us retire unexpectedly, and we don't have time to do any research and to find out what we can do when we retire financially. Other times, people do go to the end of their retirement and they come out healthy and thought process is great. Um, that means those individuals that had time to get it together before they retired, which is what they should have done, um, many times it's a matter of downsizing from your custom way of living. I have learned from many seniors, they had a 5 bedroom house. Well, they can no longer afford that on a retirement income, because you're not getting any more increases, no more promotions. What you got is it until the government decide to give you a few dollars more the next year. So I would say that a person who is looking at retiring would look into, before they actually retire, look into what their income might be as close as possible to the amount, and say, okay, if this is what I'm going to be bringing home every month, then I need to get rid of this debt. I need to pay this off, or I need to sell my house and go to a smaller place. And it depends on how many. If it's just a husband and a wife, you don't need a 5-bedroom house. When your children do decide to come home, whenever that is, then accommodations can be made at that time. But most likely, those children won't be coming every week or every month because they're grown with their own income and they have their own lives. So I would say strongly that a retiree should not base their way of living on the fact that their children might decide to come back home. No, those children are grown. They're supposed to be standing on their own and handling their business. You cannot base your retirement income on continuing to accommodate grown children because you'll find yourself struggling. And a lot of seniors are doing just that.
Mm.
And that, to me, is putting themselves in a situation where they cannot enjoy their retirement because you're trying to hold on to all of these commodities. Why? Let it go.
Wow,
Let it go.
I see that as an issue of stop loving your grandchildren or stop spoiling them. I think that's probably a really, really hard thing to do. I'm about to become
I
a
don't agree with that.
grandparent.
No, I don't agree with that.
Uh-oh.
It's not a fact of not loving them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fact of not caring about them anymore. It's a fact of letting them grow up. Letting them grow up and accept the responsibility as adults. That's what that is. And it's called what? Tough love. That don't mean you don't love them. And you can sit down and talk to them and tell them why you're doing that. It's time for you to grow up, son or daughter. You know, I'm not going to be around you always. What you going to do when I'm gone? You want to be able to stand on your own. Period.
Now,
I'm not saying don't help them out, but you have to limit your help.
I think that we had a window into how you feel now about being retired, how you feel now about being a senior. Let's look at and how it's your influence in society is sort of passed down from generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you have a lot of details on technology and you feel like we're smarter now. So now let me ask you this: for the latter part of the show, let's talk about the church. The church then, as a young person, and the church now. Has it gotten better with being involved in the family and its interventions? I'm not trying to double stack the question, but has the church relationship in the community made us better, or our spiritual relationship with God and our belief and our faith, has that made us better? But answer the part about the church being involved, because we got better access to technology now, and through technology we got better access to the church. Television, TV, television and TV is the same thing. Television or internet, that type of thing. The Bible online, more knowledge about the scriptures and their interpretation and translations. Have you seen us become a more moral society
than back in the day?
Yes.
More moral than back in the day?
Yes.
Yes and no. That's not a flat out yes or no answer to that question.
Okay.
I would say yes and no. Have I seen a significant or any difference at all in those of today in the churches and their various behaviors or responses versus back in my day with various responses and issues? Certainly, there's more available today to help this now generation to understand, to know, but do they really take advantage of it? Some of them do and some of them don't. I think that refers back to the home environment, how they're being brought up in their character of church activities, if they're being exposed to churches at all. So I would say that's a yes or no answer. Back in my day, Oh, there was no question. We going to church, whether we want to or not. We were made to go. That was just the way it was back in the day. Because if they didn't make us go, none of us would have gone, and we would not have had the um, exposure or the little bit of knowledge and wisdom that we did get as children behind going to church. It was just instilled in us that we must go to church. There's a lot of value in attending.
But you weren't going nowhere else when you didn't go to church because they had the blue law. There weren't no stores open and stuff.
Right.
Were they? Yeah, you know,
No,
the only thing
we
you
didn't
do
have
is
stores.
go
No stores
outside.
on Sundays. No,
Right.
no. But that was beside the point. As children, we didn't care if it wasn't none open. We just didn't want to go to church, sitting up there all day. And that's what we did all
Y'all
day,
went twice a day, right?
all day. And it depends on where you live. And we live in the deep South. We wasn't right down the street from the church, so we wasn't going back home and coming back. No, Grandma packed up a bag lunch and made enough food and a shoebox, chicken, biscuits, all that. And we just went on to church. And when church was out at 1 or 1:30, we stayed for the 4 o'clock. So between 1 and 4, we ate and get back home about 7 o'clock that evening. So no, Sundays was no time to do a whole lot of playing and hee-hawing around. We did all that on Saturday.
So now, looking at that, if go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Question.
If we did that now, okay, the all day church. Now there's some people think, okay, just worshiping God on one day of the week, you know, it's almost like we do that anyway, or 2 days a week. And that's obviously, if you look at the way I said it, God is not that type of guy where you just approach him once or twice a week and say, okay, I'm good now. It's an everyday thing. Right. It's life.
Right. It's a way of life.
If we did that now, would that really make us a better society? You know, the improvements, because that's measuring of you thinking people were more morally better going to church all day during that helped you get to where you are right now.
Right. Exactly. So yes, I believe that that's something that should be practiced today. I believe that our children would be much, much better and safer. Not that anything, I'm not saying won't nothing happen to them, but the danger and the fear, I don't believe it would be there as much as it is now. I believe that there is some significance behind, and not just go to church and sit there, but involve in something. They have children's church today, I'm talking about.
Right.
Back in my day, there was no children's church. We're going to sit there with the grown-ups, and we better not be playing. Better not be giggling and smacking lips and rolling out. No, none of that.
Right.
You sit there, you be quiet, and you listen. Because that was their way of training us on how to behave in church.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they didn't train us, we go in there playing like we do when we home in the yard. So nowadays, children are not exposed to the church environment as much. And many of them don't know how to behave when they do go in there. But they should be taught how to behave. Church is not a playground.
Here is my biggest question of the night. There was a time, or was there a time, I'm not going to put my knowledge in it, where you actually taught the children in the family, or were we not smart enough because it was illegal to read, illegal to teach a slave to read and write? Was that diminished to the point that we were not smart enough to teach our own children? I'm not saying show them what to do and how to live. I'm saying teach them elements of money, grammar, arithmetic, as y'all call arithmetic, math, and science. Yeah. Why did we not teach our children to the point that we kept that? But at some point, we wanted to go through integration so bad, we gave up teaching our children. We had these little small schools, and I know it was a struggle to get them going and to keep them going. We didn't get money from the government. There's a lot of history about black schools. But in the household, in the family, what happened?
Okay, you said a mouthful of stuff.
Because I'm mad.
Um, I would say that the interest, some parents, not all of them, not the parents per se, but the adult, whoever is in charge, whether it's the grandparents or the aunties or uncles or midwives, whoever it is that's raising the children, that's responsible for the children and their upbringing. Sometimes it could be twofold. Sometimes they themselves, as adults, didn't know enough to teach anybody or show anybody from a book. They could only show them from their own experiences, hands on. Sometimes, since that's the only way the child would learn something, that's all they had to work with. Other times, there was the adult in the household who did know how to read and write and show some of the children how to do so. And the third piece is there were those who did know and did not choose to show those children how to read and write. What would be their reason not to show them? Number one, we talking back in the day, as you mentioned earlier, I believe
Mhm.
some societies did not want the black community, the Negro community, to learn too much too quick. And the parent, whoever it is, the adult in charge, knew this. Well, I better not teach you too much, because if I teach you, then this might happen to you, or this is going to happen to you. If you go and read something, you better make sure nobody's around so they won't see you or hear you. So they're under some type of pressure while they're trying to learn. And you and
Wow.
I both know that if they are pressured, anybody, even today, if you're pressured, you will not learn and catch on as well as if you were not under pressure. Your mind have to be relaxed. You have to be very comfortable in what you're learning and comprehend it. If you've been out of shape, worrying about who's going to see you or what they're going to do to you, you won't retain the information that you're reading. So it's a mute point to go do all of that reading, and yet you're still fearful of letting people know that you can do this. I hope what I've said made sense. We're talking live here, folks. Well, I'm on the radio, but uh, it, it, it's just a lot of information that can go into this topic, and different households have different reasons for not showing their children. Now, today, I find that to be inexcusable, point blank,
Come on.
in today's society, not to teach the children or expose them to knowledge. There is no excuse whatsoever today. That's my opinion.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, she handled her business as usual. There's some thoughts in there that I have never had a moment to even think about, to settle in on, especially the part about getting knowledge, teaching your child, and the way Jim Crow was during that time, and just the general way society is. That translates to today. That translates to a lack of knowledge in the family, and our people perish because of lack of knowledge. That is life
And,
right now.
and it's lack of interest by those adults that's in the home. Some of them just not interested in showing their children or the children in the house of how to do things, and where to go and doing research. They just not interested, and they don't feel like it's important. Go on out there and get a job and do the best you can. No, it's okay to get a job and do the best you can, but you're still supposed to be learning as you go. You don't just stop learning because you got a job. You want to get a better job one day. But that's what should be told to these children instead of just leaving them by the wayside, which is what's happening today. The deficit in the school system is just horrendous with those children not learning like they should. And it's not their fault. It is not their fault.
That's a system we chose. We chose to, I think we chose to have the public education system. I think we chose that as a default to teach our children. I'm just look with all I know about, and we got 4 minutes left and 27 seconds. What I know, all I know about, and all I don't know about the American education system and how I'm thinking we were proud of black schools, but then when we integrated, we fought our definition. We were defined by trying to go to white schools.
Because we felt like we would do better and be better individuals if we went to the white school. Only to get there and find out that grass was not so green after all, because those personalities over there did not warrant you coming there in the first place. So you may as well stay where you were, unless you have a strong personality that can overcome all of that prejudiceness, because that's what it is. And oh, by the way, these children are taught to be prejudiced. I don't believe they were born that way.
Yeah.
They see the behaviors of the adults in their lives, and that's where it all comes from.
And I'm going to go back to what you just said, which is the most powerful statement that you made. Today's time, it is inexcusable how we can't and shouldn't recognize that education has not been a tradition passed down from our families to families, or our families to our children. And once we recognize that, it is mandatory that we realize we're in a capitalistic society. The public education is not going to teach you how to overcome in that world because of social issues that is inexcusable. They don't want you to know. That's right. Teach your children. 2 minutes and 41 seconds.
And I'd like to take this time, if you will. We always like to end our show with a prayer. And I'm not sure if you finished all of your questions for this week. If not, we can always start up next week if the Lord says so.
Okay.
And whatever additional questions you may have, we can address them then. But right now, I just want to thank everybody for listening in. Forgive my voice. I'm going through some colds and coughing and sneezing, but maybe next week the Lord will bless me and I'll be able to talk better. So, Mr. Garrison, if you would please close us out in prayer.
Sure. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity just to be here, dear Lord, to acknowledge you and to accept your forgiveness and to just try to see clearly the visions that you have given each and every one of us individually. And we want to lift each other up, those that are listening and viewing the show, they're feeling adequate in education or they're feeling adequate in their time in their life. If you are living and you are breathing, then you have time to pass on what thus saith the Lord. So, dear God, we just thank you for the opportunity to speak, to hear, to learn, and to live.
Thank you, Lord.
All right. Well, we got 1 minute here. Any couple of final words you'd like to say? I think you've said it all. Okay.
It's just a great pleasure.
I'm going to come back next week, and I'm going to ask you some more questions, especially about the educational part and how we get the discipline back into the family to do that. By the way, if we talk about education has changed now. You can't tell a student in class that they're wrong. The teacher has to say, find another way to look at that question. And there's a whole lot of things in education that's really weird. All right. Well, let me close the show and we'll talk a moment. You guys have a great rest of the day. This has been Late Night with Nada Manning. Let's talk real life. WBIS LP 106.9, 100.3. Rock 'em out.
Amen. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to WBIS LP 106.9 FM. Awesome Radio.
Full World, this is The Sift. I'm Mary Reichard. A House subcommittee is investigating